Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you are nice and well, that you have had a good lunch, that you're relaxed, that you're not sleepy. We've got second half of our conference in front of us. Will be 2 discussion panels, 1 keynote speaker. We're going to start off with our second topic today, which is technology. You know that technology is a topic that goes through all the presentations that were mentioned today, but we're going to focus primarily on it. How can it influence our workplace? How it can determine your productivity, increase it, or the other way around. Before I'm going to invite our guests on stage, I would like to tell you a few organizational things. The first one is there's going to be a guided tour at 3 p.m., so don't hesitate to go and have a look how the furniture is made. I want to remind you that there is an application called Slido that you can ask your question through. They will be addressed live as we're going to be sitting here. Please just ask. I mean, all the guys are here for you. And I think that's about it. Oh, yeah. If you haven't been around this place, there are workshops going on. They are going to go throughout the whole day. You can see it in your program brochure. And there is a fair. You can look at new gadgets, new technologies that can be implemented in your office. OK, so let's get to it. So my next panelists are Jiří Šimonek from DAP Services. Oh, yeah. Right? Please. Josef Šachta from company Sharry Europe. Oh, yeah. Then we have Bert Hesselink from CBRE. Welcome, Bert. You're right. And 2 more, Roel Geenen, Veldhoen and company. Roel, please join us. Good day. Hi, please. And last but not least, Lukáš Balík from Spaceflow company. Good day to you, sir. Guys, do you have water? Do you want some water, maybe?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, let me just have you some water. If you're thirsty,
Thanks.
you know, because you have to hydrate, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right, gentlemen. So as was already mentioned, our topic is technology in the office, in the company. My opening question, and let's do like an introductory round, will be, what is your most interesting experience with technology in the office? And I would like to hear maybe some nice examples that you can come up with. Can we start with you, Lukáš?
Sure. For me, I think the most exciting is how our smartphone is changing every year, and eventually, I think, help us to connect and collaborate with other people. So I know it's sometimes very hard because we are still linked to this device every time, every day. But for example, for me as a CEO and founder of Spaceflow, it's a perfect way how, for example, through Slack, one of the nice feature, nice application these days, I can get connected to everyone from my team, all the team members from US, UK, Germany, and all over the world, so we can easily stay connected, updated. And this is, I think, that without such technology, without these devices, we won't be able to scale fast, to keep the company updated, and also to build such a culture. Because, of course, when we have some culture at our Prague offices here, for example, but it's very hard to deliver such experience to office in UK or to guys in New York. So I think this is very important that, for example, such a tool can help us to stay connected within different channels. And it's either we discuss work or we also discuss free time, right? So I think what's exciting that we get from work-life balance to more like work-life integration. At least I can tell from my experience that when all these, when everything is integrated in one device.
Is it like more like work balance when you have your phone constantly next to work all the time?
I mean, I don't have. You can always choose, right, when you use it, but helps me a lot. Otherwise, it would be hard to stay connected with these guys.
Fair enough. Roel?
Yeah, I'm a workplace strategist, so I have to make the best workplace possible for all of our clients. And in that, we make use of a lot of people who can predict future.
Wow, that sounds exciting. Okay, what do they predict then?
Yeah, how workplaces, people, the behavior, communities look like in like 10 or 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is Richard van Hooydonk. He is very famous in the Netherlands.
Okay.
And one of his predictions is that we, in 20 years, will look like robots. Not physically, but mentally. So it's possible now in healthcare to implement some chips to make people better, just healthcare better. But in 20 years, it will be possible to make people smarter or happier, or all kinds of things like that.
That's an optimistic shot. We'll see. We'll see. Bert, so say you're for the developers here. To tell me what is your shot on technology in the workplace?
Yeah, maybe sort of a disappointment from my side, what I experienced in terms of technology. It's already a few years back, but in our own office, in our own CBRE office, I was personally convinced that a reservation system that would enable you to actually reserve focus rooms everybody would love it, and everybody would want to make use of it. And the truth of the matter is that no, people didn't actually really use it. So I was shocked, and I sort of blamed people for not being focused on increasing their productivity, because I really believed the way to increase your productivity is that you can choose the right space for the right type of activity. So if you need to focus, like you will reserve a focus room, and you know in advance that you want to have it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so you reserve it, for example, in the morning. So I did it, but I was the only one. It did not happen. So a bit of a disappointment how technology did not help us, but it didn't hurt us either.
Maybe it's not about the technology, the booking system, maybe it's about the people in it.
Spot on, that's it, yeah.
Okay, Josef, how do you perceive it, this topic?
I would say that the best experience would be the conference call, international conference call without any problems. I would say that it's something which all of us would appreciate, and it's actually still tricky. So I think that sometimes we need to be focused on more basic functions of technology, as maybe Bert already said. But if I should answer from my personal experience, my positive experience, it was definitely our implementation in Spark in Warsaw, which is our best project right now. And in this building, we integrated like 8 or 9 different systems together. And I think that each meeting with all guys from all these companies were very inspiring. And it was interesting to see how actually synergy can really help. If the building, if the developer is willing to make this integration, like everybody is really excited, and it's very open to make the maximum for this synergy. So I would say that this synergy in Spark was really a great experience for me.
Nice. I say. But you know, I mean, you're a big dreamer. Having conference call without any problem, it's a very optimistic shot. So Jiří, you're the last one.
Okay, thanks.
Come on in.
My biggest experience is from schools, because we are working with schools for 12 years. And when they started in Czech Republic and in Slovakia implement new technologies, and they bring to the schools tablets, and these all electronic content to this. So when teachers saw it, like a great innovation, it's great IT innovation, and electronic content, and we measure their subconscious part of the brain, the first thing what they felt was fear. Yeah. So students were happy, but teachers felt fear, and there was a block. Yeah. So I saw there a really big difference between the attitudes of the teachers and of the of the students, and from our experience and from our work, we know that it's not such easy to bring for these group of people, maybe older, new technologies, and then bring it to the effective work immediately. Yeah. So from our point of view, you need to work on attitudes. You need to change the attitudes to the new technologies, and then they can bring effectivity to the work.
And how did the guys overcome this pickle? Did they manage to change their attitude? Did it work out at the end?
Yeah. And especially with the open-minded directors, they integrated students to help teachers, and then the circle is done, because then with all the knowledge of the teachers, they bring it back to the students, So, but it was like 20% of the schools, and on 80% of the schools, there was a block, and it took a long time to make it really effectively. And in these days, when you come to some schools, only a few percent, they have really great tablets from, I don't know, for 4 years. And when you come there and you open the room, you can see dust on this. Yeah. So that's unfortunately not good in some schools. Yeah. So it was for me a great experience how you need to work with this. That, for example, IT and innovation is not automatically working. Yeah. It's about people.
Roel has future tellers in his company. I would like to somehow get a visionary out of each of you. Basically, my question is, how do you think, considering the topic we are talking about, I mean technology in the workplace, how do you think work will look like in 5 years? Your offices, your employees, how will they work? Roel, since you are going to the future fast.
We as Veldhoen company, and we are the founders of activity-based working, we think that people have to be able to decide more where, when, and with whom they want to work. So it's based on empowerment and the freedom of choice of people. And I think that technology will help people to make that choice. So we have a measurement in place where we can measure the work style on a daily basis. And based on that work style, they get tips and tricks how to work more structured, take more time for themselves in the evening, or phone less. And I think that the focus in the next 5 years will be on the individual combined with productivity.
Okay, thank you. Josef.
We in Sharry, we are more focused on buildings than offices. So I would say that I'm pretty sure that we won't use plastic cards for entrance to the building for sure. I think we won't need to fill in some registration paper at the desk. I hope that we will share all parking spots inside the building, so we will share them between the companies, and maybe in the night even the residents around the building can use them. And regarding the office, I think that maybe concentration will be bigger and bigger issue, and I would like to believe that the offices will be actually a place where which will help us to concentrate much more than the usual world around. But in the end, it's still about meeting other people. So I think that this functions has to be support as well, for sure. Yes, so I think in 5 years, if we will achieve these goals, I will feel it as a success.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Jiří, what's your take on the near future?
I hope that we will be still in normal social contact, and because it's necessary, yeah, because we have some subsystem in the mind which is real social, yeah, but this subsystem you don't activate when you are in virtual social relationship, yeah. So that's my hope, yeah, that we will be still in this social contact, and all conferences will be not virtual from our homes, yeah.
It will be social, but you will be communicating with Roel's robot. I mean, that's what's going to happen probably. Bert?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I see now we're talking a lot about co-working and stuff, but I think if we talk, I think we're going to move more in that direction, and then we're going to take a step back again. Because one reason why people work for company X is because that company has a certain attraction, there's a certain type of people that work there, and the space in which people work can have a big impact on creating this DNA of that company. So I think we're now moving a little bit towards more generic spaces in which more and more people will work, which is good, but I think that we're probably going to overdo it, and then we're going to take a step back again, and companies will then realize as well that they can work with their space to really support this DNA, and people want to meet in person with their colleagues. I can see it in my own work as well. We are traveling a lot. My team is traveling a lot, and I appreciate it now so much more that when we are all together in the office, and that we actually sit together. Like a few years ago, I was like, doesn't matter where you're going to sit in the office. Nowadays, I'm like, when you're in the office, please make an effort to let's go and sit together. It's this personal contact. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that people enjoy working for a company.
Lukáš?
Yeah, I would add that everything that was just said is also called like experience, right? And this is something people will desire more and more. First of all, the community approach, definitely. Then more flexibility, more convenience. Through you will be more served. You will get access to more services and amenities within the workplace and the building itself. And because in the old days, the real estate industry, which we more linked to, was that you bought an asset. You renovate the lobby, for example, sign leases, contracts with your tenants, and you haven't heard from them like for 4 years, and then you sell the property, right? And with the rise of companies like WeWork, Convene, Industrials in US and now in Europe as well, this approach changes. So tenants are now more in charge, and they can more define and shape the workplace as well, together with landlord. And so it will be a common approach and partnership between the whole ecosystem.
Thank you, guys. I think we all agree that technology is inevitable in the workplace. There's a question from the audience. What about the possibility when people do not adopt to technology in your workplace? If your answer is he should get fired, don't raise your hand. Just tell me if you have a solution on that. How would you work with people that have bigger problems, issues with doing that? Are they still going to be fit for the market or not? Bert?
My personal take on that is that if they deliver the results, I don't care if they work with technology or not. But if one of their KPIs is that, I don't know, they need to proactively interact with other team members, and for example, we now started using Microsoft Teams. Yeah. So if you're not taking part in that, then yeah, you're not interacting very much with your colleagues through that application, and that's going to have an impact on that person's productivity. So my take on it is I'm not forcing people, and once they see the benefit that it helps them to perform better, then they will automatically do it. And if they will not, then they're not going to perform, and then they're going to leave anyway. So I wouldn't enforce anything, really. No push. That doesn't work.
Okay,
That's what I learned with the reservation system. I
oh
pushed
yeah,
it,
I mean,
it didn't
yeah,
work.
they're struggling to run the reservation system. You cannot hunt them on this. Sorry for that. Okay, Jiří?
I have some experience with this because from my point of view, sometimes it's about communication and how you call this new technology. Yeah. For example, when we had some reservation system in one company, yeah, they said, okay, the meeting groups, and we don't like to use it, but IT company implements the reservations for lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when people saw there, okay, there is a meal, you know, and the number is decreasing, yeah, so they were motivated to use it, yeah. And when they were there, they said, okay, but it's simple, yeah. And another functionality, yeah, it's very simple to order the meeting room, yeah. So when it's not going straight, just think about some motivation point, let's say, for the people, and then show them the simplicity, and then you can jump on let's say, your main objective or target, yeah, but like a second step, yeah. I have this experience from that point of view.
Okay, fair enough. There is an additional question. I don't understand it properly. The addition of the question is when change management for new IoT should begin. If you can address that in the context of the first question that was asked. Josef, Roel, guys, Lukáš, it's up to you. You can stick to the first question. I mean, it's fine.
Like for the first question, I would say that it's always about the UX, the user experience, how the technologies are designed and built. Because I think all technologies, by the end of the day, they has to be simple for everyone. And what
like
we also
booking system
like
for meeting rooms.
Still, you can design very complicated one, and you can design very simple one. And if you want people to embrace it, it always needs to be simple. But what we learn, even though our community platform is quite straightforward with all the features, it won't work without actually real people behind it. So that's why also next to the platform itself, we have local community management teams. So the platform is actually global. You can launch it any asset type, office, residential, student housing, co-working, anything. But the community management needs to be always local and needs to know the real environment and the real people needs who would use it. And then we can prepare the best plan for certain properties. And so I would say always the human touch, the human-centric approach.
Thank you.
I would say that the first question, it's essential, of course. I think that our innovation has to be driven by needs, for sure, and they are very often driven by marketing purposes. Actually, that's true. And bringing of innovation, it's always about extremes. And I would say I agree with Bert that now we are in many ways we are in extreme position. And I think that we will find that a lot of innovations are not needed and or are not used, and then we should stop to provide them, because it's. I think that really first people noticed that there is a moon, and then they have invented a rocket, and so it should be like that. And for example. I like one of our functions is that we just inform people about the number of free spots in the garage. It's not like super sexy. It sounds like a usual thing, but it's actually, I think, really very useful, and it's still missing in a lot of buildings. And it just brings the functions that if you are coming to the work, you don't need to go through garage if there is empty spot. And you can find it in your app or on the screen in front of the house. So I think that now all of us, we are in some innovation adventure. We need to try everything. We need to be We need to be brave and open to new things, but I'm pretty sure that not all of the things we are now excited about will survive in the end. And the change management for new IoT should begin. I think that great opportunity is moving to the new offices for sure, to the new workplace. But I should go back to my first answer that the good start is if you need something, if you have some real problem which you need to solve. Yeah, that's it should be the start. I had a lot of meetings with potential clients, which started by the sentence, "Okay, what can you bring to us?" And I'm always trying to explain that it's much better to start with the question, "What do you need? What's your trouble in your building, and what are your people complaining about?"
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Roel, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I can add something to that. I think that change always starts by the willingness of the individual. And the willingness is created by seeing opportunities. So technology has to be either very logical or it has to be done by change management. And change management is a way to deepen the ideas of people to see the opportunities. And in larger organizations, there are a lot of patterns, so ways that people are used to do things. And I think that in large organizations, you have to break down the walls of these patterns to make the opportunity of the individual visible. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do. We challenge people to see the opportunities of the system, of the technology, of the next step.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. There's a question on activity-based working. We'll touch upon that later in 10 minutes. But what I was interested by, a couple of you mentioned communication as one of the crucial focal points, basically, of good company working. My question is, we have all the communication tools. Technology is helping us with that. So what is the next big thing? We're talking about Slacker. We talk about what are we going to use in the near future? Are these tools actually useful for us, or they maybe impede some productivity? Maybe they're too much of them. How to make sense of it? Any of you guys who has some experience, or Lukáš, I know you are in the business.
I mentioned Slack, of course, also space of what we're doing, right? With a community management platform for buildings. We also manage or moderate this communication flow within building, because I think until now there wasn't any, right? So, for example, there are still niches like this in some part of environment of our lives where the communication flow is still missing, and we try to help with that. So we know this is, for example, this is part of the job of property managers, for example. But sometimes they don't know how to engage with tenants in the way that these days millennials and our generation desires. So that's our role, and I think there is never enough of communication. Just needs to be well fitted with the needs of people behind it.
Fair enough. Well,
I think it's very simple. Technology nowadays is able to predict our behavior. There are a lot of apps who can predict what I will do in the next hour in a normal basis. And I think the next step is that the technology gives us tips and tricks how to behave better. And it always will be our own decision if we keep up with that or take it serious or just don't. Mm-hmm. But I think technology will stimulate our behavior in like 12 or 18 months. I'm quite sure.
Okay. Guys, you work with the buildings. My question is whether technological advance new tools, new communication tools we were talking about, can change real estate market as we know it. That if we communicate, we don't need each other maybe in the office. Maybe we stop going to office. Are you? What's your take on this? Can it change maybe some different kind of technology? I don't know.
Yeah, if I can, I think like the biggest thing that we will see in the real estate market is data. This is what Doug Lowry was talking about. So what will happen to the real estate market is that you can see it now in a building like Visionary, for example, that a lot of data is now coming together. And once you will start making use of that to the benefit of the users, then that will have a massive impact, and it will really change the efficiency of running a building, doing facility management of a building, property management of a building in a much more efficient and better way, eventually to the benefit of the tenants. And then the tenants will want to be in a building that's properly managed, And buildings that are better able to work with data will have a clear advantage. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Josef?
I fully agree, and I think that this data, it's one of the biggest trends, and the second one, which I think is going to change how we work or how company works, is really the flexibility, that actually all connections are weaker, I would say, between people, companies, and building. That everything is getting more and more flexible, like people are working home and in the office and are traveling around the world, and companies are getting bigger and smaller very fast, and they need to change their office very fast. And so I think that really we are going to flexible times, and you know, I think that technology, like in general, very often replaces rules. So if you lose rules, technology can always help. So I think that this is really good purpose why to use technology. It's because of this flexibility, which is I think that coworking, which is the main topic of this conference, is actually the biggest proof for that. That companies are more and more. They want more and more to not to be so fixed to the building, and the people and people don't want to be fixed to the company. So that's definitely a trend, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Your opinion?
Maybe only a small note about the let's say amount of information and communication channels. If you are a person and you have opened a lot of communication channels you can use, and it's normal that you can use just now, 5 communicators, and you see the numbers when they are growing in each communicator. We know that sometimes it's too much. We are living in the world when to read or to hear the information is very simple just now, but it's becoming too much. And what we found in our data about current situation is that there is a rising the bad emotion in some people when they are tired, and they see a lot of numbers rising, in email, in Skype, in WhatsApp, and whatever communicator, you have bad emotion that it's still rising. And from my point of view, it's dangerous, because when you have to your work a good relationship and good emotion, this is the basic thing. Then you can do your rational work, logic thinking, and your work. But the ground of this is good emotion and good relationship. So sometimes when it's too much communicators, too much information, I'm scared about the deep feelings of the people. So, but again, it's again, I think we need to do the step back and again simplify it.
It's nice you're telling me, because there is a question that I can follow up on what you just said. Will we still need people? Just talking emotions and everything. If technology will tell us what to do and how to do it, will be precise. So it's going to what is gonna happen? Do you think this is possible? That we don't. Okay,
If I can follow, I have my experience 5 days ago. I was driving a car, Google Maps, to the next meeting. I have never been in that city, and Google Maps set me to the left. Yeah, okay. I turned to the left, and policeman stopped me and said, "Okay, there is a sign that you cannot turn left." And I said, "Okay, but I followed Google." Yeah. So, but the policeman said, "Okay, here is you can give me money." Yeah. So I think there is a lot of conversation about driving, cars, and automatic cars, and without the people, it will be too robotic. But I think the biggest danger is there that the robots will use the same technology and people, and it cannot work together. It cannot work together.
Why not?
Because imagine that on the same road there will be cars who will be driven by robot and people. Yeah, and robots can follow the rules. When there is an accident, turn right. But when there will be people with the cars, some of people will turn left. Yeah,
complete
and
chaos.
this will be a really big accidents. Yeah, so I'm scared about the mixture of this.
Right. So, thank you, Josef. Will robots replace us?
I think we shouldn't be scared too much because people in 19th century were scared already. So I think it's like usual that all generations are scared what's going on and what's coming. And but I think that robots and all robotic stuff, we really should understand them as opportunity, because if you will remove humanity somewhere, you can bring this humanity to the other place. And I have one example from our business, what we are doing. It's one of our product is self-service reception, and it means that if you are a visitor in the building, you can use this self-service reception to make a registration yourself, and you don't need to ask the receptionist. But it doesn't mean that the receptionist shouldn't be there. I think that they just should be responsible for other things. For example, they can provide coffee to you, or they can ask about how was your trip and what do you need, and if they can help you somehow, they can actually they can be much more human than they are right now, when they are just pushing you some paper and pencil and asking you if you can write a lot of absolutely unnecessary information.
Yeah, some receptionists. Yeah, okay.
So
Bert,
I think if I think that, for example, we can have a lot of people which will provide massage. It's gonna be always done by people, I think, and it can be much cheaper than it is right now. So I think there is a lot of space for people.
Bert?
Yeah, I agree with that. Technology will take over routine activities, like driving a car, I think, in the future, which will allow us to spend more quality time with ourselves, with other people. The receptionist will serve coffee, as you said. And I think what it also does is that it pushes us. You're saying that if I understand correctly, like perhaps we will sort of we will be told what we will need to do. Okay. At the same time, it probably forces us to really appreciate the power of our brain, and to really see the power of deep thinking. That when you actually put yourself in isolation and actually start using your brain, that you will be able to create really great results. And technology will help us to do that, I think. So technology will take care of the routine things, but if you want to add value in this society, especially in the future, you need to be creative, you need to come up with things from your mind, not technology, and then you can implement it using technology. So I think it's a great opportunity for the future. It's good.
Guys, what's your take? Lukáš, Roel?
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Exactly.
So
Nice.
I think that we always want to make our own decisions, make our own choices. And that's for now, 2018, but that's for 2050 as well. And technology will support that. That's in my belief. But machines won't take over us. Look at us. That's too beautiful. That's too perfect to take over.
Okay, that's a nice answer. Lukáš?
I agree with what just been said, because I think robots won't take work from us, but it's actually great opportunity how we can focus more how we can move forward with what we are doing these days. So I see this as an opportunity. Everything has been said, actually.
Okay, I would like to do a little quick step back. You mentioned data, because it's technology development in the offices and the buildings. It goes line in line with data collection, with IoT, big data, etc. We know how to measure, we know how to collect it, we know how to evaluate it. My question is about data securitization. Alexa recorded these two guys talking about floors, whatever. It uploaded it online, personal data, a computer did it. In my company, there are sensors everywhere, there are cameras everywhere, there's a lot of data collected about employees. What companies should do in order to protect the data that comes out as a result of technological development? Bert?
Yeah, they should be really careful.
Okay, thank you.
No, if I
have
give you
more
one
specifics?
example.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not a technology or a data specialist. So recently I started working a lot from Starbucks. Yep. And I was thinking that's okay. Yeah. So I connect to the network through a VPN connection. And then I asked IT, is it okay? And they were not too happy about it. And that's a really big danger, I think. This is also connected to co-working. Something will go wrong, I think, and companies shouldn't underestimate how much money they should invest in data security. I think it's maybe even one of the drivers that will also cause maybe a bit of a break on the whole idea of co-working, in my opinion. For example, I have much more access to data when I'm inside the CBRE IT environment. So what is great now is that any office in the world I go to, boom, I'm immediately on the network.
Which is a double-edged sword to some extent. I mean,
sorry?
It's a double-edged sword. It's convenient, but
yeah.
It's dangerous in terms of breaching the law and the rules and just taking the data. I mean, you know, work with them. Okay, Lukáš?
Yeah, I mean, we went through, we founded a company in 2016, right? Then there was a big thing, GDPR coming out, hitting the market and every field of our life. So we need to go through it, even though we had companies from all over Europe, from Germany also very strict, right? So we need to review all the terms, and we take it very seriously. Also with gathering data, we don't go that far as, for example, some of our competition, because I think...
What does it mean, taking it far?
Like, I mean, to use, for example, to localize people. We use localization, but for example, just for one step within the registration process, right? Okay. But we don't want to go far because there is so many questions. Why and what you're gonna do with these data? And this actually, for us, it breaks the scalability of the product. So I'm always considering this very seriously. If this feature would involve serious discussion, if this won't help us on a wide expansion to various markets. Mm-hmm. So for everything we have, we just, of course, you go with the GDPR compliance. And as I said, we don't use like localization of people or any these like IoT connected data.
Okay, thanks. Jiří?
From my point of view, it's about people again, and to do right decision who is working with the data. Because we have a couple of customers from the bank sector, and they are protecting data a lot, as you know. And the normal need of these customers is pinpoint as people who are dangerous, who can use the data in the bad way. Yeah. So from my point of view, choose right people who are doing protection of the data and who are handling with them.
Fair enough. Josef?
I would say that actually GDPR rules are really correct. That first you should always ask about the purposes, why to collect each particular data, to ask if we really need it, and to collect just data the company needs. And then there are a lot of technical tools how to protect them, and I think that very important is to keep all data in ideally in just one database, for example, to keep it not on many places, which is actually quite problem in nowadays in companies, that they have a lot of databases for different functions. So I would say that this is helpful as well, and and then you need to be careful. And for us, it's big topic, and we are very focused on it.
Mm-hmm. Roel, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I think that we should collect as much data as possible, but we only should use it on a personal level.
In what sense? Can you expand, maybe?
Yeah, it has to be bottom up. So I'm not a big fan of all these sensors in a building. That's a toy for facility managers and real estate managers. And I think that only will be temporary. So I think that in about 5 years, the data collected will be used only by individuals, and we as an individual make sure that it's only used by me, myself, or by my team when I want to.
Okay.
So I'm not a big fan of the Big Brother thought.
No? Not the Big Brother guy. Okay, we have a minute, 2 minutes left. I would touch upon the last topic, basically, and it was addressed in the question, and it is activity-based working. I think it would be nice to maybe pin down what activity-based working is for the people. And my following question will be how useful it can be in the future. That's a question. What's the implication? Pros, cons? So guys, whoever wants to maybe explain this in 5 sentences. Roel, I think you could be the guy, no? Bert, I don't know, anyone.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, for me that's quite a simple answer. We are the founders of activity-based working, and for us it's a philosophy to make sure people can choose where, when, and with whom to work. So it's about the freedom of choice, and it's not about the one-size-fits-all office concept. And we are based in a lot of countries, and in most countries, it's activity-based is an office concept. And that's not what it is. The office is about the freedom of choice, and the office that suits in the facilities that freedom of choice. And that office building will look completely different when you are Apple or Google or Microsoft than you are like TECHO.
Yeah.
So it's all about the freedom of choice and not about the one-size-fits-all fit out for the office.
Mm-hmm. And the implication, guys, the pros and cons? What will be the result of having that?
One pro for me is when people can choose where, when, and with whom, the productivity will increase with at minimum 10%.
In contrary,
and that's for us, it's a promise to our clients.
It's fair. In contrary, all the behavioral psychology studies will tell you that people are not really good at making good choices.
Yeah.
So my question is whether this cannot be counterproductive for the company, maybe.
I think you mean activity-based working?
Yes, exactly.
No, Doug Lowry said today's the end of activity-based working.
So yeah.
So,
So that's it. Okay.
and I think, yeah, but what I learned from my experience, because we implemented in our own office activity-based working, we called it in 2013. And in the beginning, a few years ago, I was moving very quickly from one space to the other space, depending on the activity that I was doing. And I'm not doing that anymore. Because, and that's what Doug said as well, like the speed of our work is increasing. Like I'm shifting between different type of activities so quickly nowadays that I'm not going to a focus room if I need to do some focused work. I stay at my desk in the open office, I put in earplugs so that I'm not bothered by my colleagues around, and I focus. Yeah. I don't go to a phone booth for a conference call. I can do that on the spot. So that's changing. And you can still, with technology, work anywhere, at any place, at any time. And I'm definitely not sitting at the same desk every day. So for me, what activity-based working means going forward is that every office should have many different types of workplaces. And that is completely different for every company and in every country. Yeah, it completely depends on the people.
Guys, do you use it in your workplace?
Yeah, because we work also from like a hub co-working place, so we can always change to work from a terrace or indoor various meeting rooms, lounges, and so on. So I think for our team it's very important because not that just they spend whole day in the office, like, and they don't, as I said, the work-life balance integration. So they are having fun at work, and they can always change the environment so they never get bored, actually, which I think, of course, you need to grow in this to be really like focused and know what are your daily tasks. For me, it's now also very difficult to just changing like every hour, but for I think the young generation coming to the workplace, this is what defines their needs, because they want this experience from different kind of different activities within the day.
Okay, it sounds like you're the old generation.
No.
It's okay. Jiří, guys, do you wanna adapt to it? Your experience with activity-based working?
Yeah, only small note again. I think for the millennials, it's necessary, really, because they don't have the habits like my generation. I'm from the generation that work was the basic work, you know, and you are going to the work because you are working, yeah. But it's changing, and I think these other approaches can help it a little bit, yeah.
Thank you, Josef. Your last words?
I would say that activity-based working is absolutely positive trend. If you have meeting rooms in your work, it's already activity-based working actually, because you have some special place for meetings. If you will put to your office just one armchair, you will see that somebody will work in this armchair. So I'm pretty sure that activity-based working is right way, and I'm a big supporter activity-based building. So it means that you can use roof, you can use garden for work, and that's what I think is great.
Mm-hmm. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.